He's the first fruits, but not the last. We will follow. And our bodies then will be so different. So different. No longer will we walk around with them. No longer will we need glasses or contacts. But I'll even have to comb my hair. Philippians 3:21, Paul says, Christ will transform our lowly bodies so that they will be like His glorious body. Hope for a body that will not wear out, that will not grow old, that will not get sick, that will not deteriorate. A mind and spirit that will be filled with joy. No heartache whatsoever. We can't do those kinds of things. You know, like with this flower, I can take all the petals off this flower. It's not all that difficult. But, having taken them off, if I have to try and put them back on, that's going to be impossible. But when the petals of our life fall off, Jesus has no problem putting us back together again. In fact, we'll even be better than before. Charles Revlon, the founder of Revlon Cosmetics, says, in the factory, we make lipstick. In our advertising, we sell hope. Just think of how many people hope for an extreme makeover on how they look. Jesus offers us an extreme makeover of body and soul that will last for all eternity. It says, the end will come when He hands over the kingdom to God the Father after He has destroyed all dominion, authority, and power. For He must reign until He has put all His enemies under His feet. Right now, Jesus is already reigning and ruling over everything. Right now, He's allowed powers and dominions and authorities to be around as well. And because of that, we have issues from time to time. Things go awry. Now, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I thought this was really cool. When I went on the computer this afternoon, the captain of our ship that got pirated, he got rescued. Things change. Things will change. Christ is ruling over everything. In the end, He will destroy all those dominions and authority and powers that work against us. Everything that would affect Christianity negatively will be gone. The Bible speaks of the devil this way, that he is prowling around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. That's the way he is right now. But through Jesus' death and resurrection, what He has done, He has taken the teeth out of the devil's mouth. The lion, Satan, can verbally assault us. He can accuse us of sin. He can try to lead us away from Jesus. He can try to tempt us to sin, but his bite has lost its power. And at the end time, Jesus will even keep the lion from roaring. There's one more enemy to go. The last enemy to be destroyed is death. The sting of death is already gone. It's already gone. Jesus already rose and conquered that for us. So like my father died, this is his first Easter in heaven, guaranteed, because of Jesus. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. At the end time, Jesus is going to destroy death. It will be the death of death. No more death when He comes back. So think about it. This is what we have going for us in our lives right now. The assurance of the resurrection of the dead. The destruction of the devil. And the death of death. When we put two and two together, when we put those things into our lives and apply them to our lives, it changes everything. If we hear the Easter message and don't incorporate it into our lives, it won't mean anything. We'll go along like the rest of the world and have hopes that are met and hopes that aren't met. And we'll wonder, what is the real difference? But when we incorporate those Easter truths into our lives, it changes everything. Think about the disciples. They had heard that Jesus was alive, but they were hiding in that room. The door was locked. Their hearts were heavy. They were afraid. And then in walked Jesus. Their hearts were no longer heavy. They were racing. They were no longer fearful. They were encouraged. They were no longer courageless, but they were full of courage. The same thing will happen in our lives when we apply that truth to our lives. That same thing won't happen if we don't apply it to our lives. As you see, where there is no faith in the future, there is no power in the present. Think of a young couple. They're going into bankruptcy. Their house is about ready to be foreclosed on. They can't pay the bills. In their downtrodden setting, the weeds are beginning to grow out in the front lawn, but they just don't have anything in them to go and pull the weeds, so the weeds keep growing. Maybe the paint starts to peel, and maybe they even think about painting, but they really don't have the money. And they console themselves, well, if we paint it, maybe the next owners would want a different color anyway. They know they're going to lose the house because they can't pay the bill. Jesus has paid the bill. We get to keep the house. We get to keep our mansion in heaven. The only thing that's really left, I mean, Easter's a fact, is what we're going to do with it. Are we going to incorporate those truths into our lives and have a Savior who is our living Lord? Or are we going to continue to go through this earthly life and stumble and bumble along and have our hopes dashed? Let's see. Living with the Savior who's alive, we're having our hopes dashed. I think I'll go with the living Savior, the Lord. How about you? It'll be seen